Hi, my name is Hallie, and this is mine, Ashley, and Emma's final bio presentation over evolution. The theory of evolution has been a very controversial topic. There are two main sides to this argument. Is the theory of evolution real, or is creationism real? In our presentation, we are going to be covering what evolution is, why the theory of evolution is real, and the counter-arguments of evolution, which is the idea of creationism. So, let's first get started off with who Charles Darwin is. Charles Darwin is a naturalist who came up with the theory of evolution. After his voyage on the HMS Beagle, sailing around the world, his experiences and observations led him to develop this theory of evolution. Before Darwin went on this voyage, he believed that God was the creator of all living species. However, after his voyage, he started to become skeptical of his Christian religion. This led him to create his own theory of evolution. The theory of evolution is the idea of species changing over time to better adapt to the environment. It is also the idea that new species come from pre-existing species, and that all species share a common ancestor. When Darwin was in the Galapagos Islands, he noticed a very unifying feature between all of the different looking birds that lived there. He found that all the birds had very different characteristics, yet they were all the same types of birds. These birds were finches, and they were very significant to Darwin's research because they were a great example of natural selection. What is natural selection, one may ask? Well, natural selection is the survival and reproduction of the organisms that are genetically best fit for their environment. So you could see why finches led Charles Darwin to his theory of evolution. So why is the topic of evolution so controversial? Well, the topic of evolution is really controversial because it challenges religion. Many people think so strongly about their religion because it's what gives them a meaning and a way of a life in an afterlife. A lot of people are worried that the idea of evolution tests their religion, and it's scary to think that what you learned your whole life, religion-based, isn't true. Just imagine how frustrating it may be if you have been going to church your whole life, reading the Bible your whole life, and someone is trying to tell you that it's not real. So you could see why the idea of evolution is so controversial, because we have scientists on one hand who want to believe in the research, and then on the other hand, we have people that want to believe in their own religion. It's also very hard to convince the opposing side that their side is right, because there's still not a lot of stuff that we can prove today.
So after learning what evolution is, we believe the theory of evolution is real because it is backed up by scientific evidence such as the fossil record, molecular biology, vestigial structures, and more. And so I'm just going to go over some of the evidence that proves the theory of evolution is real. So the fossil record shows change over time through materials that are in the ground, and from the fossil record we can see that complexity increases over time. And transitional fossils show the most evidence for evolution from the fossil record. An example of a transitional fossil would be the Tiktaalik, which shows the transition from a water fish-like animal to a land amphibian-like animal. And this transition is showing that evolution is occurring. Archaeological evidence also proves the evolution of man from a common ancestor. This evidence shows the transitions to bipedalism through examinations of bones, and you can also see the transition to the use of stone tools and the use of fire as time goes on. So this evidence is showing when these species of hominids lived and went extinct to show how humans evolved from a common ancestor. Biogeography and comparative biology also provide a plethora of evidence to support the theory of evolution. Within biogeography, there are similarities between organisms on the same continent, and these similarities stand to prove that all these animals descended from a common ancestor. Additionally, comparative biology are showing these similarities like homologous structures, which are just structures in species that are similar that also prove a common ancestor. So an example of this would be the bone structure of a human's arm is very similar to that of a bear, and the similarities in bone structures of mammals prove that there is a common ancestor. Molecular biology also is providing evidence to prove the theory of evolution. The genetic similarity within the DNA code shows evolutionary distance from other species. The more closely related, the more similar gene sequences there's going to be. So you can compare the DNA codes between two species to see how close they are and how close related these species are, and then you can decide if they came from a common ancestor or not. And then additionally, evolution is still occurring today, and we can see this evidence clearly. Evidence of vestigial structures are just structures that seem to have no function, proves that we are descended from a common ancestor. And some examples of these in humans are the appendix, auricularis muscles, and the erector pili muscles. These structures have no real function today, but they likely had a function in the past, and they just have evolved to no longer have a function. Additionally, wisdom teeth show the greatest evidence for evolution that's continuing to occur. So wisdom teeth obviously once served us a purpose, but no longer do, which is why many people have them removed, as our mouths no longer have space to fit them. And as time has gone on, many people are no longer born with all of their wisdom teeth. It's very common nowadays to only have 2 or 3 wisdom teeth instead of all 4. This shows that we are evolving, and eventually no one will be born with them.
While we don't agree with creationism, we do understand that it is widely accepted. Creationism is the belief that the universe and all organisms were created by divine intervention, as shown in religious texts. Those who believe in creationism reject the idea of evolution or any aspects of evolution. Those who believe in creationism believe that life is explained through religious texts and creation science. However, creation science is not true science. Those who believe in creationism tend to get the idea from the Christian Bible, as in the beginning chapters of Genesis. Creationists believe that the world is around 4,000 years old, and the world was created in 6 days by a God. They tend to use Bible literalism, taking everything the Bible says literally, with no room for interpretation. Some of those who believe in creationism also believe in intelligent design. Intelligent design is a pseudoscientific set of beliefs based on the notion that life on Earth is so complex that it cannot be explained by scientific theory of evolution, and therefore must have been designed by a supernatural entity. Unlike creationism, which rejects science, intelligent design is based in science, but believes that none of this could have happened by chance. Most of those who believe in intelligent design do not believe in evolution, but there are few who hold aspects of each to be true. We do not agree with these because there is no proof of evidence or anything to back up these beliefs. Creationist arguments are based in a misunderstanding of evolutionary science and evidence. There are lots of studies that verify the facts of evolution, both at the microevolutionary level and macroevolutionary level. For example, the origin of new traits and new species. To those who believe in creationism, we ask why and how. How are you able to take the scientific evidence to back up evolution and turn a blind eye to it and to science? In conclusion, we believe in evolution because it is backed by scientific evidence. The theory of evolution predicts patterns of species, not just over time in fossil records, but also in the distribution of species today on Earth, the study of biogeography. The difference between species on islands compared to mainland provide a compelling example of evolution. Every organism shares the same genetic code, and the pattern of genes we've recently discovered among species match the evolution belief. We believe in evolution because of transitional fossils, the fossil record, biogeography, molecular biology, and vestigial structures.